Story 1. Change the water in her bowl. Even if it is full, she will stand and stare until I take the bowl, empty it, and refill it with fresh water. Story 2. I open the tinfoil as quietly as possible. My cat loves tinfoil balls. Whenever he hears them, he runs over and stares at them longingly, despite already having at least 24 tinfoil balls. You cannot call him with a treat bag or a tin. He only comes for the foil. Story 3. I check the mail every day. He is so excited to walk to the mailbox with me that it reminds me to do it. Story 4. I sleep with my legs about a cat's length apart. She likes to sleep between them. Story 5. Before I run in the morning, I usually eat a banana. Ever since we got my sweet dog, I eat about 2/3 of the banana and he gets the last third. It has become our little thing, an unspoken agreement. Story 6. I weave his name into any song I can for no reason whatsoever. Story 7. They pressed on my bladder to wake me up so they could eat. Leaving lots of food at night didn't solve it. Story 8. 2 things. My dog Rusty always puts his front paws on me, and I always hug him. Now when he is anxious he gives me a hug and I hug him back. The other thing is when I get ice he always begs for one, so now without thinking I toss him an ice cube. Thank you all for the awards. The good boy is sleeping on my chest right now. And yes, he had an ice cube before bed. Story 9. He calms me down when I start to lose my temper or get frustrated. Whenever he hears me sigh or swear, he runs to me, rests his chin on my arm or leg, and looks up at me with concern. This has made me much more aware of how my energy can impact those around me, and I have really gotten my anger under control since he started doing this. He is one of the best dogs, and I am grateful for him every day. Story 10. My girlfriend's older cat needs me to lift her, so she can drink running tap water from the bathroom sink and get onto the dryer to eat, even though she can easily make the jump. Story 11. I have a cat that plays fetch very insistently. She brings me her toy mouse, and if I do not throw it for her, she sits on my laptop keyboard. It started when I began throwing the mouse to keep her off the keyboard. Story 12. My mother's dog tells her when it's time to start the evening meal. The dog nudges her when someone gets peckish, prompting her to begin cooking. When I visit, we sit and chat and the dog sidles in and becomes a presence in the room for about 30 seconds until my mother casually looks at her watch and says, I suppose we'd better think about eating. She is completely unaware of what triggered her decision. Story 13. My cattle dog has learned that if he coughs on my face in the morning, I will get up and wash my face. So now I am awake. Also, for one cat I leave the toilet seat up so she can pee. Otherwise she will go in the sink and that feels wrong. Story 14. I yell floor food whenever I am cooking and drop something. I say crunch when I am chopping vegetables so my dog knows I have extras for her. Story 15. This was not accidental. I have a kitten about 5 months old. Every morning I wake up, and feeding him is one of the first things I do. In the first couple of months he learned that my waking up meant food. About a month ago he started waking me up to expedite the process. Jumping on me, meowing loudly, running across the bed, whatever gets me out of bed. I usually wake up around 6 a.m. for work. That was apparently too late for breakfast. Over the course of about a week, the kitten would wake me 15 to 20 minutes earlier every day. This started on a Sunday, and it was not until Friday that I was woken up and realized it was 4:30 a.m. I had been outsmarted by a kitten and had been conditioned to feed him in the middle of the night. Now, if he wakes me up early, he is locked out of the room until I am ready to get out of bed. He does not wake me up anymore. Story 16. One of my dogs has several barks. A play bark, a squirrel bark, and other normal barks. He also has what we call his emergency bark. The emergency bark is what he does when he thinks there is serious danger. It is extremely loud and makes us jump every time. He usually reserves it for things like the time I fell down the stairs and he let out a scream-like bark for my husband to help, or when someone is in our front yard, or when he cornered a possum in the backyard. However, since my husband started working from home, the dog gives his emergency bark when my husband tries to work past 4 p.m. My husband now stops working at about 3:50 every day to avoid that jarring sound. Story 17. I sleep on my back or on my front. I used to be a side sleeper, but I have an elderly cat who loves sleeping on my bed. Story 18. When I come home, my dog runs to the door excited, wagging her tail and making a woo-woo sound. It is not quite howling, but it is not barking either. I started to woo-woo back to her because it amused me. Now if I do not, the sound she makes turns into barking, which is very noisy and unpleasant. She has trained me to have this woo-woo conversation with her to keep her from barking. Edit. Many people asked. She is a Portuguese water dog. Story 19. I shuffle my feet instead of walking when it is dark so I do not step on my small black cat. Story 20. I had fish on top of this cabinet, not sure if that is the right word, so I was always very careful when closing it so I would not disturb them. I have not had fish or any other pet in 5 years, but I still do it. Story 21. When I get up to go to the bathroom, I stand in the doorway and wait for my elderly cat to come in before I close the door. He likes to keep me company. If he doesn't come right away, I call for him, and if there is still no response, I walk around the house looking for him. Story 22. I seem to have inherited a turtle, a red-eared slider. It originally belonged to my daughter. She bought it at age 13 with her mother's help. Came with a tiny tank. When he arrived, I thought how unfortunate that my daughter was incapable of looking after herself, never mind a pet. She did try, but as expected she got bored by this new friend. I looked for information and learned that he may live for 25 to 30 years, so it seemed to become my responsibility. 11 years later, my daughter has moved out. After several tanks, 2 flue filters, heaters, heating and ultraviolet B bulbs, custom basking ramps, and the general upkeep and well-being of our not-so-small turtle, it seems he is now completely mine. I don't mind. When we are out of sight, he swims near the water surface and splashes, breaking the surface with all 4 legs and making a lot of noise. For a while, I would hear the noise and run into the room. When he saw me, he would stop. I would leave and the splashing would start again. I look forward to the next 20 years of doing this. Sometimes we take him out of the tank. He seems fine, not terrified or skittish, and quite happy to explore. I never know if the splashing is his way of asking to be taken out for a change of scenery. Story 23. My husky sneezes when she is anxious, and I imitate her whenever she does it. This usually causes her to sneeze again. I also know when she is about to groan from anxiety or annoyance. If I make the noise before she does, she will not groan. Story 24. My cat sleeps under the blanket snuggled up to me. Even when I'm at a hotel, I instinctively raise the blanket a bit so he can crawl in. Here is my baby boy snuggling me. Story 25. Incidentally, my story from the reverse of this question still applies. We conditioned him to dramatically flop onto his side for pets, and he conditioned us to give him attention when he flops because it is so cute. We tried to discourage our cat from wandering around crying for attention, so I started going to pet him every time he quietly lay down. It worked to a certain point, but now his method of demanding attention is to dramatically throw himself onto his side with a huff and stare at us. Fortunately for him, it is very cute, so it still works to get him attention. Cat tax for photographic evidence. Edit to add. As a bonus, our larger, older cat figured out what gets attention for the younger one and started mimicking it, though much less dramatically, so we sometimes get situations like this. Story 26. My wife just got out of the cat's chair on our front porch after he strolled up and meowed. The crazy thing is that he is not our cat. Story 27. My parents' cat prefers to drink water directly from the tap. Every night before bed, he hops onto the sink and meows until someone turns on the tap. When he is finished, he meows again until someone turns off the tap and carries him to bed. Story 28. Everything her little heart desires because I am an idiot, a sucker, and she knows it. Story 29. I leave a space next to my pillow so he can cuddle. Often both cats want to sleep there, and I end up wearing what I call my cat hat. Story 30. She's a tracker. Whenever she needs something, she walks me to it. Now when she looks at me and paws at my foot, I follow her. It's a reflex at this point. Story 31. I have 3 cats, so I am as well trained as a SeaWorld seal. Here are 3 examples. In the evenings, Icy sleeps on the living room furniture. If I get up to get a drink, she stretches and rolls over, demanding belly rubs. She also wants me to tell her she is a pretty girl. If I do not pet her and tell her that, she meows at me when I come back. Luna likes to know where I am at all times, so she calls out to me and expects me to answer. I know the meow that means Lisa Simpson fan, where the hell are you? She will not stop until I answer her. Mr. Saucy Pants is a big baby, so he needs lots of reassurance. I leave the bathroom door cracked so he knows he can get to me if he is scared. If I do not, his little paw slides under the door and he cries. The only time I shut the door is when other people are here. The cats run the house. Story 32. Pick up the feces that periodically fall out of his anus for no apparent reason, and also pay $400 to have the veterinarian perform a digital examination when his anus becomes clogged once or twice a year. When it comes to pooping, my cat is all or nothing. Story 33. He lifts the covers while I sleep so he can crawl in. He headbutts aggressively until he gets his way, so now I do it to avoid a hard, furry bonk to the face at night. Story 34. My dog likes to sleep under the covers. When she wants to, she nudges me gently, and no matter how asleep I am, I lift the covers with my legs so she can crawl in. Story 35. She looks toward the kitchen, then back at me with a cute smile and a little wag. She is telling me she wants a treat. Story 36. My dog Yuri has trained me to be his pillow at night. At first I would immediately push him off when he tried, but eventually he learned to rest his head on my chest little by little so I did not notice. Now I simply let him do it and laugh. Story 37. In the mornings, my German Shepherd dog refuses to go outside to do his business until I give him his joint vitamin. He has gone through the dog door and turned right back inside a few times. Story 38. My cat Kevin loves to drink from the bathroom sink. Every morning I fill it with 1 or 2 inches of water. He also likes to bat small objects into the water, so I set a couple of cotton swabs on the edge for him to paw in. Story 39. For some reason my cat likes to play hockey with ice cubes. Whenever I get ice for my drink, I instinctively put a cube in his water bowl, but the resulting wet socks still surprise me. Story 40. I got my dog Snoopy when I was 10, and since he was a puppy he had a weird love for lettuce. He would go nuts for it, so whenever I had a sandwich or a burger I gave him some of my lettuce. Over the years it became a ritual. Whenever I prepared food with lettuce, I would grab some extra to toss to him as I ate. He passed away 5 years ago after nearly 17 years together, but I still find myself grabbing that extra bit of lettuce for him. His little quirk has stuck with me, and I never want it to go away because it helps me remember him. Story 41. Walk out the front door backward as you close it. We have one cat that tries to escape, while the other 2 are fine with their large backyard of 100 square meters that is covered by a net. Story 42. When I come home from work, I call him. He comes to me, and I pick him up to give him kisses. Story 43. There must always be a space for my cat whenever I sit on the couch, so she can cuddle up next to me. Any obstacle will be knocked or scratched out of the way so she can take her place at my side. Story 44. Leave pillows lying next to the tile. He likes to lie on the tile because it cools him down, but he does not like his head to touch the floor. Story 45. I've somehow become a cat treat dispenser for them. Yay for thumbs, I guess. They both come next to me and stare until they get a treat. The boy sometimes talks and gives me a massage until he gets his treats. The girl is flirty when she wants treats. Candy digger. Story 46. Close the bathroom door with a rope just large enough for the cats to fit through. Otherwise the dog will eat their feces from the litter box. No one wants doggy kisses with traces of cat feces. Story 47. Every time I stop petting my dog, she reaches out and taps me with her paw, sometimes quite insistently. Of course, who can resist that? I keep petting her. Story 48. He vomits in the bathtub when he needs to. He vomits from time to time, and I put him in the bathtub when that happens. One day he got up and went into the bathtub to vomit on his own. It was a proud but sad moment for me. I later realized I had misread the question and thought it was about me. My dog, not I, vomits in the bathtub. Story 49. If I go to the bathroom for any reason, my cat waits outside and then leads me to the kitchen for treats. I do not resist these days. She does not look back. She simply ambles into the kitchen and assumes I will be right behind her. Story 50. I have started leaving the shower curtain open. When I go to pee, he jumps into the bathtub and gazes into my eyes while he urinates down the drain. He used to yell at me and scratch at the shower curtain until I opened it. Now it is our daily bonding ritual. No, his litter box is not dirty or messy. He is just really weird. I also cannot eat Cheetos, cheese, or cheese puffs in front of him because he will jump on me and try to get them. He is a maniac for cheese and will try to steal the bag. Story 51. I stay in bed an extra hour or so every morning, working on my phone, purely so Gypsy can get some prime snuggles. When my alarm goes off, Gypsy runs in and announces her pleasure at having an awake human to pet her. We spend 10 minutes giving her cuddles before she finds a spot to snuggle against me. Then I stay perfectly still so I do not disturb her. She always looks disappointed on days when she does not hear my alarm and I meet her in the living room instead. She is snuggling right now. Story 52. I am not snapping my fingers because he apparently hates it. Story 53. I lost my best friend Moby a couple of months ago. He was 14. He had a heart condition toward the end of his life, and one symptom was coughing fits when he drank water. Those fits were severe and caused him to pass out several times. I recently rescued a young healthy dog. Whenever I hear him drinking water, a sudden surge of panic comes over me and I brace for something bad to happen. I miss you, Emo. Story 54. Whenever my cat does something wrong, I hiss at her. Not aggressively, but enough so she understands not to scratch the couch or jump on the table, since she does not understand the concept of no. We got a kitten about a month ago, so I have started having to discipline him more often. The other day my friend was annoying me, and out of pure habit I hissed at him. The people around me turned to look at me, and I felt like a psychopath. I laughed out loud. Story 55. When my cat was a kitten, I thought it would be a good idea to pet her while she ate, because many animals get skittish when people are nearby. It worked well at first, but now she insists that I pet her whenever she eats. She will eat without me petting her, but she vocalizes her displeasure. Story 56. I must leave the toilet door open for my dog. He follows my every step. It was a bit awkward at first, but we got used to it. I have read that he does it to protect me, which makes it even better. He is the best boy. He also guards me when I shower. Story 57. Every night before bed, I give my dog a Greenie's toothbrush treat. I started doing it because I wanted her to have good dental health. Now, every evening around toothbrush time, she goes and sits in the kitchen. If I do not notice, she comes and stares at me, then walks back into the kitchen. She will sit there until she gets her toothbrush. This is mostly cute and a good reminder for me. However, she recently had to have some teeth pulled and could not have anything hard for a week. Every night she still went into the kitchen at toothbrush time. I tried giving her a soft treat, but it did not work. Eventually she would come to bed very fussy and full of attitude. Then I would wake up in the middle of the night and she would not be in the bedroom. I would call her and get no response. When I got up to look for her, I would find her sitting in the kitchen in the dark, waiting. I was very glad when that week was over. Story 58. 3 bits of toast is the perfect number for me. My little Westie absolutely loves buttered toast, so I make 4 and give him the extra. I don't live with him anymore. I've moved out, but I still make 4 out of habit. Story 59. I sleep with my hand hanging off the edge of the bed because my dog comes to boot my hand when he is ready to go outside in the morning. Story 60. My cat is my breakfast buddy. She always tries to steal my cereal. She's sneaky and lightning quick, so if I look away for even a second, she gets into it. For anyone who may not know, you are not supposed to give adult cats dairy because most of them are lactose intolerant. But Tisha has succeeded enough times in stealing my cereal and licking my bowl that I know she can handle dairy, and she now gets a tiny cup of milk every day. She's also very skinny, and it helps maintain her weight. If she hasn't had her milk for the day, she'll follow me into the kitchen. look up at me with her big green eyes, and beep at me with her sweet little voice. You bet your ass she gets her milk as fast as possible. My brother brought home a German Shepherd when I was a teenager. He wasn't allowed in my room because he smelled like a dog. Yes, I'm talking about both my brother and the dog. At first he looked guilty and left sadly when I said, "Yo, what the heck?" But he kept doing it. Now we have an agreement that he can come into my room only during storms. I don't know how his dog brain can comprehend exceptions to rules, but I guess he does, laughing out loud. Story 61. I talk back to my dog when he talks to me. I have a German Shepherd, and for those who have never owned one, they like to vocalize and mind talks a lot. When he talks, it is neither a bark nor a whine but a sound between the two, and I have learned to replicate it to have a conversation with my dog. Story 62. My cat has 3 legs, so he cannot bury his poop. I now follow him outside to cover his poop because he gets very anxious. I am not sure exactly when this started, but I am officially a poop scooper. Story 63. Every morning I wake up and immediately take my dog for a walk. I have had this routine for a few years, but I did not realize how integral it was until a weekend when my parents took him for a few days. Without my morning walk, my body would not allow me to have a bowel movement. I have found, from data from my Fitbit, that it takes about 1,000 steps before my body is ready in the morning. On mornings when someone else walks my dog or when it is too rainy to walk, I still walk on the treadmill for a bit to loosen up. Otherwise, I remain uncomfortable all day until I reach my required steps. Story 64. I hide under a duvet within seconds of waking because I can already anticipate when my cat will come and insist that I get up. Story 65. Our dog, adopted a few months ago, refuses to urinate inside his small sleeping cage in my parents' room. Every night at 2 a.m. my parents wake up to let him out to pee, bring him into their bed, and then go back to sleep. I think they still wake up even if he is not whining. Story 66. I automatically wake when my dog clumps down the stairs to go outside to pee. It does not matter what time of night. It is usually 2 or 3 a.m., and I never get a fulfilling sleep because of this. Story 67. Often I close the front door when my dog is outside. My cat then meows loudly to let my dog in so he can look out the door. Story 68. There are many things. I take baby steps when walking anywhere in my house to avoid stepping on a tail or a stationary cat. I wake to a single claw prod that lets me know it is time for breakfast. That alternately charms and annoys me. She knows the claws hurt, so she uses a single claw poke to wake me. But during the day, she gives me a full pawful of claws to communicate happiness or displeasure. I also have to wait in the kitchen while she eats her dinner. She will not eat unless I am there supervising. Story 69. Every morning after breakfast she insists on a car ride. She cries and waits by the door until I give it to her. Some mornings she poops after breakfast and then stands at the car, looking at me as if I were a boyfriend who would not open the door. Story 70. Always place plastic grocery bags in a covered trash can and keep other plastic bags in closed closets. My cat loves to shred plastic bags, and I cannot stand the sound and dislike cleaning up the mess. Anything that comes in a bag must be stored in a closet or pantry because my cat can open cabinet doors. Story 71. I learned not to yell at the computer. She was sensitive, and even from the other room she would come to me and nudge me with her nose. After a while I caught on and stopped yelling. My dog is no longer with me, and I yell at the computer much less, but occasionally I forget a wear clause and then swear. Story 72. Snap at people and animals to get their attention. Story 73. Lift up my blanket so she can burrow under it with me. My cat gives little taps on my arm when I let her in. Keep my door open. She hates it when I close it and scratches and meows loudly. I am her human, and she wants to be with me. Story 74. I always look to see where she is even though I already know. I just want to see her face whenever I walk past the door. Story 75. Leave my bedroom door open because he likes to check on me at night and climb into bed with me in the morning. Story 76. At 4 a.m., as I get older, I have to urinate. We got a dog about a year ago, and when I get up, she needs to go too. At first, I would let her out and then take care of my own needs, but eventually I started using the backyard. Now it happens nightly. At 4 a.m., we both get up, go into the backyard, and relieve ourselves together. Story 77. Rub him roughly so that he will lick my arm at the same time. Story 78. Say, oh, that's such a big stretch. Every time one of my cats stretches, regardless of how much they actually stretch. Story 79. I used to like sitting on the floor with my legs out. My dog Rocky, despite being 65 pounds and not the size of a lapdog, insists that he is. Now I sit cross-legged so he can come into my lap for pets and cuddles. Story 80. When we come home, our family dog runs to us, sits with his front paws raised, and makes us give him a forehead-to-forehead hug. It is one of the things I look forward to when I visit my parents. Story 81. I make kissing noises to get my cat's attention. Now I accidentally make them at everything I want, and sometimes that even includes people. Story 82. First thing in the morning, she has to smell my breath. She is like a small, hairy gremlin that comes to inspect. I am not sure whom she reports to, but I do not resist. Story 83. Refill a small water cup with ice and water from the refrigerator door rather than from the sink. Anytime I get water for myself, I also have to get water for the cat. Story 84. I train my spaniel to jump on my chest in the morning while I'm in bed and lick my face to wake me, so I can take him outside to use the bathroom. I have saved money on rug cleaning. Story 85. I leave my bathroom door open at all times because my rabbit prefers to pee there instead of in his box, especially when I am using the bathroom too. He probably thinks I am trying to reclaim my territory. Story 86. My dog has conditioned me to drink my morning coffee while sitting on the floor next to her food bowl. She skips breakfast if I do not sit with her while she eats, but she eats dinner without me just fine. She is a Doberman who enjoys a relaxing morning routine. Story 87. My 17-year-old dog, who is almost blind, trained me to put everything away, pick up things from the floor, and put furniture back where it belongs. I still do it each night before bed, even though he died at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. Story 88. When my dog looks in the mirror, it means she really has to poop. Story 89. When my cat wanted to get into the house, she climbed onto the roof, slipped through a small gap, and made a soft poof when she fell onto the floor. She would then meow so I could open the door and let her in. Once, after I moved into an apartment, I heard that same poof and instinctively went to open the front door. Story 90. When I'm trying to prove a point to my partner and he doesn't get it, I say things like, "Oh my goodness, you were such an idiot," and call the cat's name. I did that several times when we went on vacation and the cat was at home. We also leave the bathroom door ajar when we use it on vacation. Story 91. I put the toilet lid down now because my cat would go after the water in the bowl and splash it everywhere. I also check after my nephew in case he leaves the lid up, because he is a toddler and sometimes does not flush. When I forget, it is a problem. Story 92. When I come over, sit on the floor to let him sit in my lap. He is a chow chow weighing 55 to 60 pounds who loves to be a lapdog. Story 93. My cat wants to know what I am eating. He does not want to eat it himself unless it is coconut milk. He only wants to sniff. When I make food, I bend down and let him see what it is before I eat. If I do not do this, he makes it his life mission to find out and will jump on the table and crawl all over me to sniff. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.